Hello and welcome to our podcast. It's a great pleasure to welcome Dr. Tess Lawrie, our friend and pioneer of several brilliant initiatives, including founder of the British Ivermectin Recommendation Development Initiative and World Council for Health. So since the beginning of the pandemic, Dr. Tess Lawrie was actively involved in fighting for the truth on early treatments, repurposed drugs, and always supported people's interests. So Dr. Tess Lawrie, thank you very much for joining our discussion today. And as always, it's such a great honor to have you on our channel.
Thanks so much for inviting me, Valentina. It's really lovely to be here again.
So we live now in a very strange times, especially now when we have vaccines, COVID variants, people who were vaccinated become infected, then lots of misinformation from all sorts of channels. Now the Delta variant and questions on how effective these vaccines are against it. So it's a huge mess, and we would like to get your view on all this. But before we go there, so we know that there are many unknowns at the beginning of the pandemic, and scientists were unaware of how bad the virus is and how severely it can damage our health, or what prolonged symptoms could be. But it's been more than a year, and we hear on the mass media that it is not solving any of these questions. Instead, it creates more mess. And that is why it's important to get information from credible source, just like you and World Council for Health. And for those who doesn't know, World Council for Health is a global group of credible experts who have knowledge and expertise in this field and are independent and express their views freely. So based on that, could you please share your view on where we are now at this pandemic and whether anything has changed since the first wave?
Yes, thanks, Valentina. Yeah, I mean, the way we seem to be on a massive ship, a big tanker that's just heading off into oblivion without the possibility of discussion about where we're going, what's happening, who's driving the tanker, and so on. So it seems like a massive effort to raise questions and actually involve the public, involve doctors and scientists in discussions about what is actually going on. And it seems like the authorities have just embarked on a course without negotiation, without discussion, without transparency, and we're all expected to just go along with it unquestioningly. And I think, there's many opportunities have arisen along the way since we started this, since this pandemic started, which have indicated that discussion is urgently needed with independent scientists and doctors, where change of course is urgently needed. Each opportunity has been absolutely ignored. Obviously the first issue is that COVID is not as bad as we first thought or were led to believe. And it's clear that figures have been manipulated in order to push this agenda towards vaccination. It is clear that you cannot design a safe vaccine or a number of safe vaccines in such a short period of time, and that we don't have long-term data, and the emerging data is very worrying. And it is clear that we've had early treatments from the very beginning, safe old medicines, and there was no need at all to embark on developing a whole pile of new medicines for which there's no long-term safety data. So there's so many questions. At the very least, one could say, well, this health emergency, because it is a health emergency, especially now, when we have so many people, billions of people having taken these experimental vaccines without knowing and without being informed of potential side effects. We have a health emergency where nobody is actually showing the way or showing any leadership. This is the reason why we have had to get together, and there are so many advocacy groups around the world saying these things do not add up, what is going on, and they're being censored, left, right, and center. And it's like, banging your head against a brick wall, really. People are trying to be heard, and they're just, and they're absolutely not. They're just being pushed away. And I think it's a time really to reflect on how much of our freedoms, how much we have given away, that we've given away to social media, we've given away to governments, where we cannot actually be heard anymore. They can control what we say and how loud we say it. So so the World Council for Health is made up of a whole pile of advocacy groups, different groups, who are all absolutely united and aligned along the lines of ethical treatment and uncovering the truth of actually and reestablishing our freedoms and our right to choose. And each group has got, different it might have different goals. There might be legal groups looking at legal action for people who've been harmed by vaccines, or legal action for people in needing early treatments, effective early treatments. And it's not a merger of these groups at all. It's a coalition of groups all aligned along understanding, making sense of what's actually going on, and why governments are taking this approach, why we're being denied early treatment, why this agenda, why vaccination, which is a preventive measure, is being used as the supposed cure for a pandemic. Our weekly meetings at the council are very action driven. We invite guest speakers who have something to share and who are not being given a platform in the mainstream media, which is all controlled now by governmental and private industry influences. And we, as a group of an international group, are able to discuss openly in these forums and in our subcommittee meetings, and come up with solutions to getting the word out and helping people. We are all focused on helping people survive this health emergency and any new health emergencies that are to come, because we do feel that this is not the end. COVID is not the end of health emergencies. It seems like we're in for a very bumpy ride.
Indeed. So we highly recognize and appreciate work you personally do, your outstanding commitment to serve public at the highest possible standard and share your knowledge and expertise with so many, and for the purpose of saving lives. At the Long COVID Foundation, we have people who stopped believing their doctors due to poor medical guidance, poor medical attention, no access to medicines that are used in other countries to deal with symptoms of long COVID. And people are truly disappointed with the system. On a large scale, we truly lack medical leadership to help people recover from such debilitating illness. And I think World Health Council is playing currently the key role to help people in getting transparent and relevant and quality information that helps people to relieve uncertainties and fear. And we have the honor to be part of this community, I must say, and bring our informational resources to be peer-reviewed, so we know that information we serve is of high standards. So thank you very much to bringing this initiative out there. And we truly understand that the pandemic, which is global, must bring attention of global experts and bring this knowledge under one umbrella, where we can have an open platform to discuss things and solve problems together.